How long do my lights last? Is my Garmin going to last? Can I set up camp? When is the next place that I can refill water? What am I going to do tonight? Just ride through the night? 2015, 2016, David and I had started coming up here a lot to train for DK and all these big gravel events because Mammoth is just a really good training ground for high altitude. You can live high, train low. And we were doing a lot of gravel rides in Bishop, and mainly with a group of guys that we had met. There was like an annual ride that they would do around May. It was this huge loop that started and finished in Bishop. And so after the first one that we went to this brewery, we were hanging out and sitting down, and one of the guys said to me, he was like, "You should do the Caldera ride." I was like, "I don't even know what that is." And he was like, "Oh, it's a 500-mile route that starts and finishes in Mammoth and goes around here." And like I laughed at him. I was like, "There's no way." But what happened that day was he planted this seed like way back in my head when he said that like no woman had ever finished it. I would joke about it with David of like, "I'm gonna go do that Caldera thing this year," and he's always like, "No, you're too many events. That requires totally different preparation. It's something we're gonna have to focus on in the future." As we started going into fall, I think I was like, okay, I really want to do it in 2020. And so yeah, we put it on the calendar, and it just seemed like this lofty goal at the end of the year that I didn't have to worry about too much because all of the events leading up to it were going to get me to that place that I needed to be, including the DKXL, which is 350 miles. So like I had this plan and everything was gonna go well for 2020, and then 2020 happened after March, and I was like, okay, well now we gotta rethink this whole strategy and getting ready. The process originates with getting the GPS file from the guy who created it. He sent it to me and was like, go for it. Of the two of us, I'm the more map-oriented, much better with directions person, so I've definitely taken ownership of like sitting down and staring at the map and figuring out what routes I need to do leading up to it to get an idea of the different terrain. I think one thing that I've learned being up here and training up here is that everything takes longer. It doesn't matter if you're doing this route that would normally take you 2 hours at home, it's probably gonna take you like 3 up here. Everything just takes longer. I'm looking at this thing that's taking people 2 days to do 150 miles. I'm like, this doesn't add up. Like, are these people just like taking their sweet time? I don't get it. And sure enough, like fast forward a year and a half going through all this stuff, it's like, you know, this dirt out here rides very slow. I am riding a 9er Sur 9, which is a steel hardtail frame, and Shimano components, XTR, Pro Bike Discover bags. The gear is basically broken up into sleeping and off the bike stuff. Where am I putting food, water, and like extra clothes. Regardless of whatever discipline I was doing, I was just always good at having a plan for race day and even a plan for training, sitting down with David and working out, okay, how do I get to this goal that I want to do? And that's a much bigger picture than like this week's training. You know, this week's training is like part of a 6-month plan to get to where I want to be. And I need like plan A, B, C, and then all the different plans that can go off of each of those. And then it just turns into this giant tree of possibilities. And that's how I see this event going. And I just have to be prepared for whenever those challenges arise to go down one of those paths, whereas before I thought that all of these people just like knew how long it was going to take, knew what the goal was. And I've since learned that like so many terrible things are gonna happen along the way, and it's really about managing all of the challenges that happen and like how you react to those. One thing I've thought about a lot is that my dad never told me I couldn't do something because I was a girl. he always was, you know, wanting to mountain bike and ride motorcycles and do all this stuff, and naturally I did too. And never, ever did he make me feel like I couldn't do it because I was a girl. And I've talked to a few dads about that concept before, and I've told them, like, that's probably the biggest thing you can give your daughter is the belief that they can do whatever they want to. And so that idea that it's normal for me is the gift that I want to give other women.